Hi, my name is Michelle Jutrissa and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stamping Up in Australia. Now what I thought I'd share with you very quickly today is a tip that a friend of mine shared with me. Shelley did this on one of her Facebook Lives in the last couple of weeks, and it was like, oh wow, this is fantastic. Because as you would know, we only have a few colours in the embossing powder, or actually not even colours in the embossing powder. We've got your white and your black. I'm just trying to look it up here now in the catalogue so I can just tell you what we've got exactly. Let me just find the right page. Here we go. So it's on page 128. We've got two lots of embossing powders. So you've got here in number 1, stamping embossed powders, and you've got your basics, which is black, clear and white, and then we have your metallics, which is copper, gold and silver. So we don't have the colours. But what Shelley shared with us was how to use any colour that you have in your Stampin' Up ink pads to do a embossing in colour, and I just thought that this was really fantastic. So I thought what I'd do is I would show you what she did, and so let me get started. So I've got a Real Red stamp set here. I've got a sentiment, which is Merry Christmas, and I have my Versamark, and I have my clear embossing powder. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our Versamark and we're going to tap our stamp in our Versamark. Okay, so we're just getting a good coverage of the Versamark ink on our stamp. Now we're not stamping this. I'm now going to bring in the colour that I want to use, and here, actually I'm going to use a different colour than Real Red. Always do Real Red. I'm going to use Magenta Madness. And then we're going to tap the Magenta Madness on top of that. So what we've got now is we've got our stamp, then we've got a layer of Versamark, and then we've got a layer of our coloured ink. So when we stamp this down on paper, because we're going ink side down, we're stamping our ink onto our paper, and when we lift it up, our Versamark, which we had on there first, is now on the top. Okay, so all we need to do now, I just need a scrap of paper here. Let me just find one. Here it is. Just so I can collect all this powder underneath. So pop that down there. We're going to pop our embossing powder on top. Remember, I'm using clear. And that's going to, because the Versamark is like a glue, like a tacky glue, and that's going to hold that embossing powder to our sentiment. Okay, just give it a couple of flicks on the back just to get rid of any little bits that might not be stuck, and I'm just going to put a little bit more of a coating of embossing powder onto that. Flick that off. So let me just put some lids on things so we don't have stuff everywhere. Put this powder back into its container because we don't want that to go flying when I pull the heat gun out. Then we're going to bring in our heat gun. Now this is going to make a little bit of noise, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to warm this up a little bit. And using our heat gun, not too close, but just going over that, and that's going to melt that clear embossing powder on top of our sentiment. So now what I have here, I have my sentiment in the Magenta Madness with a layer of embossing powder, or like a shiny layer of embossing on top of that. So that's just a really neat trick if you want to just bring out a little bit more depth in your sentiment, and just have it embossed in clear, and you can use any color you want. So if I was to clean up my stamp again, I can then choose another color. So let's just say Versamark. Tap it onto there. Grab some Bumblebee. Pop that onto there. I'm just going to flip this over and do on the back. Add that to there like that. Probably didn't do that great a job there in holding that down, but that's okay. Let's pop some powder onto that. Make sure that's well coated. Yep. You know it's when it's well coated because it actually makes it look like a matte colour. And then once you add the heat to it and that starts melting it, that's when you get your shine. See that turning, and there we have an embossed Merry Christmas in Bumblebee. So that's just a really I thought a really cool way of using any of your colors to create a heat embossed effect. So I hope you've enjoyed that tip today. I'm going to try to add a few more tips to my YouTube channel, so stay tuned. Bye for now. See ya.